Welcome to my virtual diner. Pull up a seat at the counter, get comfortable. Most shows talk about people, I talk to them. This is Real America with me, Bridget Phetasy. Some of you might not know this about me. I spent many years as a yoga instructor, and I want to start tonight creating a little bit of space. Since we're talking about how to cope with grief and tragedy, this is one of my coping mechanisms. And I thought we would start out together by everyone who's watching, just take a deep breath all the way down to your belly. Hold it and exhale with a big sigh. Let it out. All right, let's do that one more time. Breathe in and hold it. And then exhale with a big sigh. Just let something go. And one last time, join me in a big, deep breath all the way down to your belly. Take a little bit more in. Hold it. Feel your heartbeat and let go with a big sigh. Okay. Now, I want you all to please join me in a full minute of silence for Charlie Kirk and his family. A minute is a long time, but just take the pause with me, please. Okay. And now, since it's a prayer many people know, if you want to and you're so inclined, please join me in the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So, what you just saw, maybe you feel different. Maybe your energy shifted. Maybe there's a little bit more space, a little bit more room, a little bit. I mean, even just taking a moment of silence at all, let alone for somebody and their family and even America, it seems so long, but it's also just so grounding. And those are all examples of things that I use when I'm coping with tragedy or tumultuous times, or when I'm trying to just ground myself in a moment. And tonight's topic is coping with tragedy. Tragedy is draining. Tragedy is awful. Tragedy feels gray. Tragedy's hard on our bodies. We carry around the weight of the awful things that keep happening. We take shortened breaths. We carry tension in our neck and in our jaws. We hold everything tighter. We're a little bit more reactive. Tragedy is unpredictable. It makes us jumpy and scared, and I mean that literally. What we're all going through, what we witness collectively, is traumatic. It's also something new. Never before has there been a political assassination in America that we all saw unfiltered through our phones. It wasn't mediated by the news. It was just raw footage from kids attending a debate. We also immediately in real time saw everybody's reaction to it. I don't think we are capable of coping with this much noise, information, reaction, the whole world. And seeing something like that, something so violent, a father and a husband and a brother and a son taken from the world while he spread not only the ideals this country was built upon, but also the word of God. He was talking and laughing and then gone. That is traumatic for all of us, no matter how you felt about him, even if you hated him. This is a scary time in America, and it's a scary time in the world, and people are afraid. They're angry. We aren't in our right minds. I've been online today. It's like everyone's losing it. We are being brainwashed by algorithms, foreign influencers, and propaganda. And although the technology might be new, the fear is not. And with this ancient fear being activated in our monkey brains, we lash out. And we're all lashing out right now because we are all afraid. But as Pema Chandran says in her book, When Things Fall Apart, fear is a universal experience. Even the smallest insect feels it. We wade in the tidal pools and put our finger near the soft, open bodies of sea anemones, and they close up. Everything spontaneously does that. It's not a terrible thing that we feel fear when faced with the unknown. It is part of being alive, something we all share. We react against the possibility of loneliness, of death, of not having anything to hold on to. Fear is a natural reaction to moving closer to the truth. When it does, it feels like everything is falling apart. It has felt that way for a while, to be honest, and it accelerated after Charlie died. Or maybe it isn't. Maybe it's all falling together. Maybe we are collectively moving closer to the truth. Tragedy has a way of revealing us to ourselves, showing us what we're made of. It has a way of bringing us to our knees in surrender and in faith. Tragedy can unite us or it can tear us apart. Is this tragedy going to unite us as Americans or as the world to stand up for what is good and true, for what our shared American ideals are, like freedom of speech? Or are we going to allow it to tear us apart? We get to choose individually. We get to choose how we will face this tragedy and with it, our fear. When I'm afraid, I often, all the time, even on a plane, if there's a little bit too much turbulence, I turn to this famous passage from Frank Herbert's novel Dune. Many of you know it, I'm sure. I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. I will face my fear. I will permit it to pass over me and through me. And when it has gone past, I will turn the inner eye to see its path. Where the fear has gone, there will be nothing. Only I will remain. I have to remind myself that's what we're all going through. This awful thing together. Millions of people grieving or angry or feeling unseen. All of us humans on this world lashing out, clinging to whatever we think can help us make sense of the world and to give people grace. I've been not great at it. And lately it's even harder. I have to attempt to be more kind and patient and understanding instead of my default, which is judgment, retaliation, and condemnation. My monkey brain is very comfortable there, but that's just my fear. And fear is the mind killer. And I want to end with another quote from Things Fall Apart. A really great book if you're going through hell, by the way. Life is a good teacher and a good friend. Things are always in transition. If we could only realize it, nothing ever sums itself up the way that we like to dream about. The off-center, in-between state is an ideal situation. A situation in which we don't get caught and in which we can open our heart and minds beyond limit. Tonight, I want to hear from you about how you best cope with tragedy. How do you handle it when things fall apart? What are your favorite passages from the book, from any book, or the Bible? Do you find serenity in nature, in physical activity? Our guest tonight is Mary Catherine Ham, a woman of incredible strength who has navigated her fair share of tragedy. But first, some quick housekeeping. If you need to be called on and you need to be on Zoom, if you want to be called on, you need to be on Zoom, on camera, and you need to virtually raise your hand by clicking the reactions button. If you aren't on Zoom and want to be part of our virtual live audience right now or in the future, click the link in the description below to get the Zoom link or go to twoway.tv/BridgetZoom. The Zoom link is the same link every time, so save it somewhere. This is our virtual diner where we all meet. The voice of God you're hearing is Cousin Maggie. Many of you already know her.
Hello, everyone.
She's my cousin and co-producer. We make all of our stuff together, like Dumpster Fire, Walk-ins Welcome, and all the other content you can find at Phetasy.com. Maggie will be monitoring the chat. If you have something to say and you raise your hand, Maggie will message you privately to find out what you'd like to talk about. She's going to help make sure we stay on topic. And just so you know, we can't guarantee we'll get to everyone, but we do our best. And everyone knows my rules. Just don't be a dick. So please find some grace for all of us right now and in general in these trying times. Everything will be fine. And now, a word from our sponsor, Quest. Guys, in these sad, weird, dark times, we should be taking care of each other, but we should also be taking care of ourselves. How do you like that segue? I'm trying to make my health a priority, and that's why I love Quest. Quest simplifies the medical testing process significantly, especially if you're dealing with an HMO like I am. No more waiting weeks for an appointment to see my doctor and then getting a referral and waiting weeks more for an appointment with the specialist I needed to see. Quest offers over 150 of the same tests trusted by doctors, including diagnostics for specific ailments like STDs, chronic conditions like heart, liver, and kidney disease, as well as testing that is almost never covered by health insurance like fertility and advanced women's hormone testing. Quest also offers broad packages of tests that go way beyond the standard tests you typically get in an annual medical checkup visit. Concierge medicine and functional medicine doctors, like acupuncture and stuff, charge thousands of dollars for these types of workups. Quest offers them for a price of a night out on the town. Your health and well-being is worth it. Go to questhealth.com and use the discount code REALMAY25 and get 20% off your purchase. That's questhealth.com, code REALMAY25 for 20% off. There's a link in the description below. Let me see if Mary Catherine is coming. I guess she's not here. Are there guests here?
There are guests
Do they have
here.
their
There are
hands
hands raised. I have
do
not
it.
had a chance to talk to anyone about what they want to talk about yet, though. So
Let them in. Let somebody in. Who we got?
all right, let's bring up Phillip. Wait, there we go. And mute.
Hi,
Bridget.
Phillip.
Hi, Phillip.
Hi, Bridget. Hi, Maggie.
How you doing?
Thank you for I was worried about you guys last week when you didn't come on. I'm understandable, but I was going through it at the same time.
Yeah. I sometimes feel like, there's a great there's another thing that another one of my coping mechanisms that I rely on all the time is from 12-step. Many people know that I'm in a 12-step program, and there is this one that changed my life, honestly, and it was pause when agitated or doubtful. And I was both agitated and doubtful last week. And I know I have to apply that to my own life. But I was saying to Maggie, I'm like, we've got to be able to apply this to our work as well. I can't just have that be something that I apply to my personal life, but also not my work life. And since I'm in charge of my work life, I'm one of the lucky people who gets to do that. I thought that it would be best to just kind of take a step back and be quiet. Sometimes quiet is good.
Yeah. Well, I was more worried about you guys than anything else. I was concerned about how you were dealing with it, but I appreciate your episode of Dumpster Fire this week.
Thank you.
I think it was very heartfelt, appropriate, created sympathy from me. I mean, I felt the same essentially. Um, my dealing with what has happened, um, it's while I don't share, let me see, my idea of the spiritual side of life is um, complementary with Charlie. I believe that Jesus was definitely one of the ascended masters, though not the only one. And so uh, when I saw what happened, unfortunately, saw it myself. Um, now I got the sense that Charlie was okay, that he was martyred, um, which, is sad for us who remain here in this incarnation. Although it will be fun when we get to reunite with him when our time comes. I'm sure he will uh, greet us.
So
And
your coping mechanism is God, religion?
I wouldn't call it religion. I would call it my personal experience with Beyond the Veil.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have I've had several experiences with very high doses of psilocybin that have taken me there, and to varying levels of um, so there's a sea of energy, and most people call that God. There's then patterns within that energy that are persistent, and some of the primary patterns are Jesus and Buddha and some of those ascended masters and Thoth and some of the things that have shaped our existence. And then it's all fractal. So as you move closer to our own personal consciousness, we are reflections of those patterns. And the whole point of us being here is for source to experience itself and generate new knowledge and understanding. And so um, I'm confident that Charlie's particular ripple in the universal pattern of energy is persistent and will be there when Erica and the kids join him. But it's very sad for us.
Mm.
Sincere emotion generates energy, and I think for that energy to be positive, it needs to be grounded in love rather than hate.
Mm.
And I
I love
think
that.
that in one sense, that is, we have developed this jargon, this language calling that evil. But I think what at least for me, evil is our spiritual disconnection from the truth and
Mm.
man's hubris that thinks that we are that our ego and our incarnation in the third dimension is actually the reality when this we're avatars in a video game essentially as another analogy. So our souls said let's go play in the third dimension.
Philip,
And
I don't want to cut you short.
no,
But I'm
that's
going
good.
to because I
Bring
feel
somebody
like,
else in.
well, we have a lot of hands raised and Mary
Yeah,
Catherine just got here and I just want to get to as many people as we can tonight. And I really
thank you.
appreciate you sharing all of this and I adore you and I love hearing all of your takes on all of these different dimensions and I think we could probably go a full hour just you and I, but so thank you so much. And I don't know, I sending you love
Love you guys.
and we will see you next week or in the future weeks. Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
Philip. All right, I'm going to bring up Mary Catherine. And
Our
unmute.
rock star.
Oh,
Hello.
I just need you to unmute.
I got it.
There we go.
Look at this beautiful rock star in her makeup.
Yeah, well, I had to, this is not real America. This is
This is real. Everyone, my friend and warrior in the world, Mary Catherine Ham. Welcome.
hello. Thank you for
How are you
having me.
doing? Thank you for coming.
I'm all right. It's been quite a week.
Yeah. I know. We were talking about how I opened with taking 3 deep breaths, a full minute of silence and a prayer just to kind of create some space and it felt so good just to even do that. How you've been through, you can talk as much or as little as you want about whatever you want. You've been through a lot of tragedy and I'm really curious about how you deal with it. What are your tools and tips? And even this week, you are going through it again. How are you doing?
Yeah. So mostly my thoughts are with Charlie's family, and it's been like un improbably the mean comments and the terrible discussion outside of the actual terrible thing that happened have been able to compound how terrible it is, which is almost impressive in its badness. And so that I've been trying to filter out some of that, even though I want to, speak up against it. Um, I think it's tough to I didn't know Charlie well. We had worked together at Turning Point's events over the years. He notably in a very Charlie way, even when we were on different sides of the Trump question or other policies, he would happily have me at these events, particularly ones for young women, where I could speak. And my experiences with him, he was uniformly kind and decent and nice and lovely to work with. He was really a leader and a builder in a way that I'm not, that impressed me. I can talk, but I don't build anything other than my particular family and
Yeah.
organize things other than that. And so I admired that. And I think there are also, this is a lesson for me too in the way I thought about Charlie. Someone I talked to the other day said, I thought of him as a political animal, but my daughters, who are teens, thought of him as a faith leader. And
Mm,
I gotta say, I wasn't in the demo for his clips, and I even somewhat unfairly characterized him in my head as so and so destroys so and so viral clip guy, right?
yeah.
And I didn't click through that often. And I knew that Charlie was a good debater. And I think at times I like probably even said an offhanded, like rude joke about Charlie or something along the years when we disagreed on stuff. Um, Not often because that's not in my character, but like I click through now and I go, oh my gosh, this was so much richer than I was giving it
Mm,
credit for. He was not just a good debater, which I admire, and I knew that. He was a generous debater. There's a clip where there's one young man who's very nervous and is trying to talk to him about institutional racism and question his views on that. And Charlie says, "Hey man, I'm not picking on you. I know it's very nerve-wracking to get up at this mic and you're doing a hard thing. Take a few deep breaths. I'm going to restate your position and then I'm going to tell you why I disagree with it. But you correct me if I'm wrong about what you're saying,
mm,
right? That is an incredibly generous thing to do as a person in a position of power who's talking to somebody who's nervous, who disagrees with you, who you could destroy,
mm.
but you take the opportunity not to. And I wish so many more thought leaders, allegedly, and college professors took that approach.
I remember
Um,
the moment that I realized I had not really been paying attention enough to him. It wasn't South Park, although that was another moment where I was like, oh, he's way bigger than I think I
mhm.
understand.
Yeah.
But it was my husband sent me a clip, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but he sent me this clip and he was like, this guy is so impressive.
Yeah.
It was just him talking about spirituality and religion and also like threading it into the foundations of the United States. It was actually, and it was really brilliant. And I was like, I think I've been underestimating him. Now,
Yeah.
granted, I dunked on him on Twitter like 2 days later about something he said that was, but that's
Right.
just like me being funny. And I don't, I was like, I think I was talking about right wing men being crazy about the way they
Right.
talk about women, but
Right.
because those clips come through and you're just like, okay, um, and but that's what we all do. Like, I wouldn't hold that against people. Do that to me all the time too, and I still go on their shows and talk to them and debate
Yes.
them.
Yeah.
But I did realize, yeah, it was like only in the past, like, I think probably 3 months that I was really realizing. And then I have, like you, I have family members who are in that demographic and they loved him more than anyone, more than
Hmm.
Trump, more than, I really think he probably had a pretty good chance at being president someday, which is
Yeah.
what makes it even more tragic. But these guys just loved him. And like I was saying on Dumpster Fire, I think he offered, what I found very comforting about him is that in this space and time, he was very grounding and earnest, and he gave these young people something truthful and soulful and meaningful. And I'm Gen X, so I'm
Right.
done. I'm toast. I'm irony poisoned. There's no hope for me.
No, he did. He went before, and there's also something very powerful and about and the left will be allergic to this statement. There's something very powerful about taking students who are on campus who are genuinely marginalized because no one agrees with them. And in fact, people like believe they're evil for believing anything different from the orthodoxy on campus, and giving them a vision of what life can look like, embracing different things, and give them a vision of what it looks like to express themselves honestly, and that can be edifying and good, and can lead to more connections with your classmates. Like I think like it's just all the things that college was missing and he was bringing to college. And like on a much smaller scale, I've done it in the past and I love doing it because, and I will continue to do it, because those students do come up and say, like, I'm like a lib, but these guys are really militant over here, and I'm feeling pretty ostracized about these two issues on which I disagree with them. And we'll have, like, over the years, it went from conservative students who felt ostracized to like further and further left students who were like dyed-in-the-wool Democrats who still felt ostracized because things got so crazy. And giving them that, you can see the joy in his face doing it. Giving people that is very powerful, and they felt a real connection to him. And I wish I had appreciated him a little bit more vocally and just watched more of him while he was here, because I was catching snippets from like a TPUSA conference and then not delving into these bigger conversations. And he just had tremendous skill and I think tremendous heart when he was dealing with people. So it was sorely needed on campus. And I hope, because a lot of people who loved him will be angry, and that's normal when you lose somebody, particularly in this violent sort of way. I hope that his example gives them a road to walk. And it looks like Erica Kirk will probably give them an example of what it looks like to walk forward in dignity, with faith. I was struck by what she said in her first comments after he died, which were stunning and impressive in so many ways. But she said, I don't understand this, but God does. And our God is so good. And that is a tough message to hear, to deliver, to believe in the wake of something like this. But I think that her giving it to people who loved him is really important, and may keep a lot of people on a more positive path for that reason.
What are your general coping mechanisms when you are, what advice do you have for people?
Yeah, so for those who don't know my personal story, and it's sort of an odd coincidence that so this week is 10 years since my husband died in a cycling accident, September 19th, 2015. And so as that anniversary is coming up, to watch Erica start that journey is tough, just because I know that there's really hard things ahead of her. But she seems obviously like a person who knows what her mission is, who has the skills to handle this. And I'll be praying for her. And it'll matter that a lot of people pray for her. It did for me. So I think I just not, I don't envy her this, and I know what it feels like, and she's just at the beginning of this road. But I would say, to the extent that I have coping mechanisms, I think in my in my experience, having kids helped me when I was in my darkest hour, because I think it was Bob Odenkirk who said recently in this great clip on Birbiglia's show.
Oh, I saw this.
He
going
said
viral.
he said the great thing about being a parent to small children is that you don't have to think about your purpose or your own ambition or your vanity or whatever it is, because your purpose is in front of you needing breakfast, right? And that's what I had. After my husband died, I had a 2-year-old and I had a baby on the way. I was 7 months pregnant. So I had to have a baby. I had to raise that kid. And so that was my mission. And to a great extent, I think that kept me from darker things. And I also just prayed all the time, and I prayed when I was angry, and I prayed when I felt betrayed. And there's a scripture, I wrote about it in the Free Press this week, but there's a scripture, that's Jeremiah 29:11, which is, I have a plan for you, declares the Lord, plans to give you hope and a future. and plans to prosper you, not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. And I would just pray that all the time. Whenever I woke up in the middle of the night, I would just pray that. And I will be honest, I didn't believe it. I was like, sure, great plan. This is going super, right? But I think tough times are both a test of faith and an invitation to it. And for me, I didn't know what else to do. So that's what I did. And truly, because there is an author who's a better writer than I am, my life has turned out in miraculous ways that I would never have imagined and could never have imagined. So it's hard to find silver linings in these very sad stories, and yet this is part of life. Like we're promised sufferings, and the question is how you get up the next day. And mostly I got up to make bacon for my kids.
I love that. Do we have, it looks like
We
some
have
hands too.
Yeah. All right.
So we're gonna take some calls.
I'm gonna bring up
video calls.
Alan.
And feel free to chime in. So you don't have to just sit there. You can chime in and jump in and say whatever you want.
I'm very excited. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I'm very excited to be here because you are two of my favorite follows on X, my favorite podcasts I listen to religiously. So it's just an honor to be here. First off, Bridget, your dumpster fire last night touched me. When you talked about that fire in your belly, like rising to your heart every time, it hit me. Brought me, it touched me. I'm not ashamed to say I was tearing up and crying a little bit. So, but that helped me out a lot through. I do engage in a lot of political discourse via Zoom with members of the two-way community. So I'm trying to keep that spirited debate up. But this past week has been very hard to hear some people on the left who just want to rub in falsehoods and trying to keep that grace of not losing your cool has been very difficult. But some of the things that get me through it are listening to listening to you guys. I love getting hammered. I know it's on like a bi-quarterly.
I was just talking to Vic about whether he's open tomorrow to record, so maybe we can fit one in.
Yeah. But I listen normally. I love you guys. But one of the things I've noticed, and it has been with the people I follow on Twitter who I consider more either center, Bridget, I think you're very centered, and you're slowly moving further to the right. And then, Mary Catherine, you were like on a thermonuclear Twitter attack. And I'm like, she's like center right, and she's getting further right, with some of the points you're making, with some of the things you've put out. So, but I've noticed that with people I know in real life is like people are moving left to center left. My daughter's a center left. She's moved to the center. People, so this is a culture shift I think we're seeing. So I'd love to hear both of your perspective on my observation. Thank you.
Yeah, you know what? This is a random example, but it was interesting to me. I saw on Instagram the other day on my reels, just a random like basketball highlight account that had Charlie Kirk's high school basketball highlights. And they're very good, by the way. He was good. Also seen him throw a football in some of these clips. He's quite an athletic dude. He was like 6'5". So he was good at basketball. And I went to the comment section, like bracing myself for what I was going to see. And it passed the vibe check so sublimely, with everyone just complimenting how good he was. And I thought, well, that's like, that wouldn't have happened a couple of years ago, that a right-leaning figure, you put him up like playing pretty good ball on a sort of agnostic, middle of the road highlight account, and people don't talk a bunch of junk. I was kind of amazed. So I think that speaks to a little bit of that vibe shift. And for me, I think I am at my most righteously right wing in the wake of a political violence story that the media is trying to pin on me and anyone who disagrees with me. That is when I lose it, because I feel like I've been gaslit so many times. And I've been on air with people telling me that like my rhetoric's the problem after congressional baseball team was attempted murdered 2 blocks from my house. And I get pretty fired up about that because they're wrong and it's wrong to do that.
Yeah, I think too for me and this is something that I wish I had been able to see more of with Charlie, and maybe it was highlighted. He represented this, like, unfortunately it feels like it's getting thinner and thinner. It's this tiny sliver of conservatism that felt like it was actually intent on conserving. He felt like he was trying to preserve the American ideals. He felt like he was very based in Judeo-Christian values, understanding the connection of those things, understanding the importance of that to the foundation of this country, and um having those clips kind of put in my face. I just realized that he offered an optimistic vision of America, and it is lacking so clearly on the left. There's nihilism everywhere. It's on the left. We're now seeing it infecting the right. It's like a sinkhole that is sucking up everything around it, and it is anti-West, anti-American, it is devastating, actually, to be observing. And he was one of the people that I feel was really interested in fighting that fight and taking that fight to the youth and trying to help them understand and see how important free speech is. And I hope that, the thing that I worry about is just the fear that this instills in a population. It does make people afraid to speak up, and rightfully so. And things have been getting violent and bad for a while, and I don't know that this is our rock bottom either. I would hope it is, and but I don't know. So I guess my shift, right? Like we were joking when I keep thinking of this dumpster fire where I was talking about how I'm gonna be like wearing a cross any minute, and I'm like, I'm pretty much there. Like I am pretty much. I like moved to Texas, became a mom. I'm like, I'm gonna be speaking proverbs soon, just like randomly off the cuff, just reciting Bible
Misquoting the
verses.
Bible all the time.
Misquoting the Bible, but because I want something, I need to be grounded. Like part of the reason I opened to this episode with just taking deep breaths and a moment of silence and a prayer is those are grounding things. And one of the things that I've taken from Charlie in this horrific aftermath is that he was a grounding force in a sea of conspiracy and irony and nihilism and all of these swirling things. This man was able to hold space for so many people and able to give them purpose and meaning and optimism. And I want to try and bring that to the world as well. It's made me realize that I need to do better at that, because especially for my kids, our kids, and for the youth.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
by the way, I love this comment in the chat that says it's the nothing from the never ending story. That's a quality Gen X / elderly millennial reference. That's the nihilism that we're feeling. Yeah, I think, I always have tried to be an optimistic force in doing what I do. And I think part of what I loved about Charlie is he not only was optimistic, but there is, beyond the issue of free speech itself, there's an epidemic of people just like not taking the time to think, period, right? To engage with anyone who disagrees with them, particularly on campus, because it's just like capital T truth. You're done. If you're not on the same page, you're finished. And like the way that people react to Charlie without clicking through, without considering anything he has to say, that's the anti-thinking, that's the anti-intellectual. And I think probably a lot of people have clicked through for the first time and in a much larger way than I did, realized, because I already counted him as like smart and dignified. I just was surprised how incredibly adept he was. There are other people who are like, I'm thinking about this for the very first time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad there's so much tape out there from him to do that.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to bring up our next guest,
Thank
Alan.
you.
Thank you.
Guys.
Thank you,
Thank
Alan.
you.
Good to see you.
Let's bring up Curtis.
Yay, Curtis.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Hi, Curtis.
Hey, Curtis.
Hey there. I think the thing that has been most disorienting, and Bridget, your monologue essentially that you turned dumpster fire in, just so appropriate, and I loved it. It was without a filter, and there were so many salient points in there that I think were really important. I hope a lot of people watch that. But I think, it's what affected me probably the most. I was actually out in the mountains without cell phone service when this happened, and I came back to a town with it, and I actually saw Megyn Kelly just get the news as she learned for the first time and confirmed that he had died. And I could tell even just in coming back to town for an hour, this was going to be really different. But I think what was most disorienting for me, or moving, there was a video that someone put out. Normally it would have been very cringe. It was pictures of Charlie and his wife and the kids, and it just hit me that this was what someone intentionally took away from someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Just really and anyone that's a parent would know this, it's the most fundamentally profound representation and reality of love that you can have as a family. And to understand that someone intentionally went out and destroyed that gleefully was bad enough, but then to see it celebrated was disorienting, in that you sometimes wonder, do I just not understand the world that I live in? Because I don't. It's sort of like, Bridget, I think the first time with the tearing down of the posters of the kids, it's like, this doesn't, I can't find a place for this in my model of the world, in which I come up to, there's an innocent child that's been kidnapped, they're being treated however horribly, and someone's trying to help with that, and I'm against it. And you just can't find a place for that. You also realize, tragedy, get to be my age, tragedy is an eventuality of this world. Charlie, I think, would have been the first to tell you that's a fallen world.
Yep.
You're going to face tragedy. I mean, my life, a couple suicides, 2 drunk driving deaths, a drowning, both parents are gone, cancer old, cancer young, drug deaths. It's eventual. It's an eventuality. You're going to face tragedy. But in the case of suicide or something like this, where it's intentional, it hits so much differently. And then to see people celebrate it was, like I said, just so disorienting. I just, like, how do I understand this? Bridget had like kind of an offhand comment. She just said, like, it's Darvo. And I didn't remember what that meant. So I looked it up, and it's, what is it? Divide,
Deny, attack,
accuse,
reverse victor, victim and
accuse,
offender.
reverse
Yeah.
the victim, and whatever. But basically what it is you turn the victim into the bad guy, and the bad guy into the victim. And I thought of that, how true that is, and then watching the coverage of the press, and it's everywhere. And so I needed that lens to see it. So anyway, I guess that's just all commentary on how it affected me. But I think, we all have tragedy. How do we deal with it? I think, there's all the common things that we tell you anytime you're depressed: exercise. But, the one people don't think about maybe is, doing something for someone else is something that, it's sort of like, if you're not seeing good in the world, the best way to ensure that you do is to watch yourself do it. Sometimes just doing something for someone else is going to make you feel so much better. course, my worldview, I have a pretty deep faith. I've been a, Bible believing Christian for a long time, and then pursued it mainly through Bible study and that sort of thing. When my mom passed away, it wasn't maybe as comforting as I would have hoped it would have been, but in other times it's been surprisingly more so. So, I think we can all be grounded in things like that. You need to have some kind of center, and I agree, that that was certainly something that Charlie Kirk was trying to do. I think it's something a lot of us can do. So anyway, sorry for the long monologue, but
No, thank you so much, Curtis. It was good to see you.
Thank you, Curtis.
Yeah, I think I had the same feeling Curtis did when I saw the Mangione celebrating. That was a little bit of a breaking point for me, where I was like, how is this happening so often? And the denunciations of it are not thorough. The denunciations were like, well,
Yeah.
aren't your
Yeah.
healthcare bills pretty high? And I was like, no. No, that's not it. So that sort of loss of, to me, that's just like an utter loss of moral compass. And
Yeah, they're
so
like killing somebody by spreadsheet. I'm like, no.
Nope. And he, it should be noted, Brian Thompson, the healthcare CEO, had 2 children as well. And to watch people cheer for that, and to cheer outside of Luigi Mangione's trial for a reduction of charges, is just, it's wild and dark to me. And I have trouble engaging with it at all. Like Curtis says, like it throws me off of my access to take that information in.
You're like, what world am I in?
Okay, I'm going to bring up Season next. Hi,
Hello.
Season.
Hi.
Hi, Season.
Hello. Thanks for your model. Thanks for the dumpster fire. That was like it's funny. I was watching it. My husband's like, he walked in because I watch you on the TV in the living room because I want the kids to, because the kids think you're hilarious. They pop in and out. And they're teenagers. Don't think I'm a terrible parent.
I was like, oh.
Oh dear.
They're all teenagers. It's all good. But he was like, is she crying? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, Charlie. He's like, no, it's fine. He's like, I just didn't. He's like, I'm just surprised. He said this. I'm just surprised somebody's being so raw about it like that. It wasn't a bad thing at all. He was just like, good on her for being like honest. So I was like at this really super boring work conference in the mountains of Pennsylvania when Charlie Kirk was shot, and I was by myself, which is a very rare thing. And I didn't watch the video of it, thank God, but someone freaking screen grabbed the moment, and then it was all over X. And I was like, okay, I don't need, because I had made a decision when I heard the news, I was not going to watch the video because all I needed to know was know about it, and that was it. And then that stupid screen grab made its way all over the place. And then, of course, the follow-up to that after a couple of days was all the campus, the horrible propaganda pictures, debate this thing that went all over X, which was hideous. But like, I think the one thing I've learned from being on social media at this point is, even in the middle of all this, is to withhold comment until details come out, no matter how difficult the issue is.
Yeah.
And since I was like removed from being in my normal comfort zone, like in the mountains with great reception, but like Fox News, which I never watch, like I had cable, which is weird. And I was like checking in there to see like where the shooter was. I think the thing that I said, like I was talking to Walter Kern about this on X, and I was like, honestly, like out of all of this as a mother, and I'm going to cry, the hardest thing for me was thinking about Erica putting the girls to bed without Charlie, because it was such an effort that he made to be with his babies on regular basis. I remember when my girls were that little, and the thought of like them not remembering their dad and not having him is all that I've really cared about. I haven't even really thought about the ramifications of what this has politically. I haven't thought about any of that. I've only ever thought about it in terms of like the removal of a father from his family. And then the ramification, of course, the next layer there is like really for nothing is all I could come up with. Was like, and I wish I could like process it any other way, but like I have like so much like the way that I normally deal with this, and this is pertinent, and then I'll end with this. How I normally cope with this is through church. Since COVID, so like this is a really good example. My church has been creeping progressive for a really long time. And and we used to be like a very mixed congregation full of people with different political views. And that was the reason I really liked going there, is because we were united by Christ, but our political views were everywhere. We could talk about it, but there was never anybody that was going to like not talk to someone. And COVID kind of changed that. A lot of people left and a lot of conservative balance went out of my church. And now it's like just sliding super, super, super left. And so in 2001, when 9/11 happened, which I think we're all going to remember where we were when we heard Charlie Kirk was shot. That's something we're all going to get out of this. The second thing is,
I certainly will.
whenever that happened, I was not attending that church. I was on the fence, and then I was like, I got to go there. And that became my church home for like the last 25 years. When Charlie Kirk was shot and Sunday came up, I was like, I can't go there. And to me, this is the biggest problem, that representative problem of what's happening in the country, is my church has been completely ripped apart by these politics.
Mm.
And I'm wandering away from people I consider to be family, who have grounded me through the birth of my children, their baptisms, every horrible bad thing that's happened. They've been there for me. And I didn't want to be with them on Sunday because I was afraid they were going to say something terrible.
Yeah.
And that was going to be the end of me ever stepping foot in there. And to me, that's representative of what's happening overall as a nation. Like that's my filter for how I'm processing the political side of it, is because I'm sick of going to church and hearing about progressive critical theory stuff in the sermon. And then it's just like the people I love, I don't even want to be near them on Sunday because one of them's going to say something dumb. And then I'm going to be like, I don't know if I can ever talk to you again, because like, what?
Can you find a new church?
I'm trying. It's just like, I don't fit in. Our family doesn't fit in anywhere. We're not super conservative anymore. We're not super progressive. We try really hard to be moderate.
Yeah.
And it doesn't exist except for maybe in orthodoxy. So I've been looking at the Orthodox church because I'm like, well, they don't talk politics on Sunday. They just go through the liturgy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to worry about about the word Christian nationalism being used in the sermon. So
oh, gosh,
what just happened? Like,
I know.
and I've mentioned it, and I've been like, this is offensive to me because I know where you're coming from. I love you. You're like, I've known you for 20 years, but you don't hear it the same way I do. Like that kind of stuff. So like, just that's the end of my story. But that's how I cope. And that right now for me is like shredded. So I'm trying to figure out like, yeah, I pray, I do my personal stuff with God, but my foundation since I was a child has been my church family. And it's like, when that's gone, I'm just kind of like, okay. When politics is ripping apart the Christian faith, I don't know what to do. I don't even know what to
It's doing it to AA too.
It's freaking critical theory. Critical theory has seeped into
everything.
Into like Protestantism, and it's ripping it apart from the foundations, and that's why everyone's running, screaming.
I mean, it's seeped into conservatism.
Yeah,
it's like it's everywhere. It's everywhere.
I'm sorry that's happening.
I like to read James Lindsay because I feel like James Lindsay has really, really tried to stay centered and focused in the middle of all this and like not get drawn in. I don't know. Sometimes I don't agree with him, but I feel like he's tried to stay calm and calm people during this.
Mm-hmm.
He's the reason I know that it's in my church, because now that I know the terminology coming from the pulpit or being mentioned around me, I'm like, oh, that's how they got in. They couldn't get in any other way, so they went in through the church. And so anyway, that's my
I don't know. That's very hurtful. I've been in similar situations where you're just like, and then you're in a situation where you're trying to protect your friends from saying horrible things to you. Like I've been in that position because I haven't been on my Facebook because a lot of my hometown friends, I'm sure, have put up some terrible stuff. And if I see it, it's not going to go well. Because I'm over here having to explain to my kids that mama's going to go travel to do her job 6 times in the next 2 months. And that job, as you know, is the same job that my friend Charlie Kirk just got murdered for doing. Like I have to explain that to them without making them super anxious, but I do need to have a conversation with them about it. So pardon me if I take it a little personal, if you guys celebrate it. It's
thank you, Susan. Thank you.
Do not be overcome by evil, but be overcome evil with good. Like that is our tagline in our family. So
yeah. Thank you.
I love that.
I'm going to bring up Maureen.
Thank you, Susan. Good to see you.
Thank you, Susan.
Where did Maureen go? There she is. Okay. Mute.
Hi. Good to see you both. I just want to say, Bridget, you and I have had similar political trajectories. I'm Gen X, was a huge lefty. Discovered you in 2020 when I think everybody lost their minds, myself included. So I just want to say thank you for your work. I love Dumpster Fire. It makes me laugh every single time I watch it. Really, really funny. I actually introduced my mom to you, which she thinks you're hilarious. So I'm spreading the good word, one person at a time. The only thing, the only thing I really wanted to share is that, I was personally affected by 9/11. And so the last week has been horrible. I wouldn't call myself a Charlie Kirk fan, but I did appreciate what he did. And I think that one thing I would add to everything that, everyone said is that I think he really captured what the youth suffer. I think they got their formative years destroyed by COVID and all of the, horrible policies that came with it. And I think he just came to their campuses and he's like, hey, I see you, and did it and, really encouraged like in real life conversation and debate in a way that was really refreshing. And I think something that, they appreciated and leaned into. So I would say that's certainly part of his legacy. And I just really feel for his wife and his kids because it is so hard to suffer a loss in your immediate family and then to live for the rest of your life with people you don't know having an opinion on it is horrible. It's horrible. I completely empathize with it. I still deal with, it's 20 plus years later and I deal with it to this day. And all I'll say is that, as much as I hate what I'm seeing on social media and what it's done to us, I think that honestly, like it's brought me to voices like yours. And you guys have been such a comfort. Mary Catherine, I saw you last night with Moynihan, who I'm a huge fan of, and that was a great conversation. And a lot of like Mark Halperin's content, obviously, honestly, has gotten me through the past week. And so even though it's virtual, it's still been such a comfort. And I also agree with Curtis, like do something for somebody else, get out of your own head, volunteer. That's all I'd say.
I love Moynihan.
He's great.
He's great. And I've written about this in the past, but on the topic of doing something for someone else, if you have a friend in crisis, I always tell people like, people get intimidated by it. It's a reminder of your own mortality. It's hard for people to be around people who are going through it. And if you've ever been in that situation, I'm sure you've experienced that, but I always advise people, reach out. They didn't forget the bad thing that happened to them. They're not surprised that people mention it, and just say, I'm sorry that this is terrible. This is terrible and it's unfair. And how are you holding up? And just like, if there's some special skill you have that you can offer to a person in crisis, whether it's, organizing their mail drawer or like cleaning their laundry or having somebody mow their grass. That's what a neighbor did that for me. They came over and mowed my grass after my husband died because they knew I wasn't going to be able to do it. And they would sneak over and do it while I was out of the house, so I didn't feel bad about it. And they did it for probably like a year and a half. And slotting yourself in for someone like that is so incredibly powerful. Because people who are in crisis don't know how to tell you what they need exactly. But if you know them well enough to figure it out, you can be really helpful.
Or do what I do and just cook.
Another good one.
Cook.
Yeah.
Thank you, Maureen.
Thank you, Maureen.
Okay.
I know. I forgot it was 9/11 last week too.
Yeah. Monica, I'm going to bring you up next.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
All right.
And it was a freaking blood moon. Ever since the eclipse, shit's been going bonkers.
Okay.
Hello.
There we go.
How do I do that? Hi.
Hi. We can
Can
hear
you
you now.
see? Can you see me?
We
Yes.
can see you.
Oh, shoot, because I don't know what I look like right now, but okay. Hi. I just want to say thank you, Bridget, for last night. I really enjoyed your podcast. And Mary Catherine, I've been a conservative woman all my life. So
Oh my gosh.
really have enjoyed you. When conservative women, they're, Gen X, old Gen X. And, but I did want to come on because I am definitely MAGA. I'm a populist and conservative, but I always imagined the Republican Party being what Charlie Kirk and Donald Trump, like them or not, what they envisioned. So this is particularly hard, obviously.
Yeah.
Because we have been following Charlie Kirk. And I'll just tell you, for me, I don't know what happened, but a few years ago, I've been raised Catholic and went to, up till like middle school Catholic school, and Jesus in my heart and God. But during COVID and all of that, like, he found me a few years ago, like, and sometimes I'm so funny because like the Catholic way is so straight and narrow, but I feel like just evangelizing it, like it's so crazy. But that has really helped me with Charlie because I believe what he believed.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives me comfort. I know he's going to see his family. I know he's with Jesus. And I just really feel like there is a message. The Holy Spirit is working magic slowly but surely. And that's my hope. Like I see it in the videos that have been posting, along with all my reposting of those people who are just cheering on his death and hoping, I'm sorry, that they get fired for justice. Because I don't want them involved. I don't want them near children. I mean, like, I don't want them flying planes. I mean, I know that sounds so crazy, but we have been so.
I don't want them flying planes. There's a little bit of a jihadi vibe with these young ones.
It's not great.
Although Milo, yeah. So no, but there are those range of emotions, right? Because I have felt those little things, wearing a MAGA hat and getting a sneer. And now you think, is there really that much evil in that heart that sneered me for wearing a MAGA hat? Never been able to put a bumper sticker on my car. Like the fear that we've had for so long, when people start thinking that MAGA is going to get aggressive, it's not aggressiveness. We have been so patient.
I know, it's true.
So true.
It's true.
And I don't understand the brain. It's not brain. The media, to me, Bridget, you would have probably been MAGA years ago if you hadn't been in an echo chamber that told you how terrible Donald Trump was.
I actually
And
have
I
a
don't
piece.
know how to get out of that. And that's my worry.
I don't think it's that. I actually have a piece that I just filed, and it's called But the Right. And I write about how I think I would have voted for Trump a lot earlier if the foundational ideology of this country is not but the right. So there's, and I've talked about this before on podcasts and whatnot, but basically there's no amount of left that you can go. Like you can go as far left as forever, clearly. And people will make excuses for it and the media will carry water for it. And no matter what, it'll be but the right. But the right's gonna like rise up, but the right's gonna lash out. And I think that it took me a while to really have to kind of humbly admit that I was not the good guy, because it's so deeply connected to your sense of the left is good, the right is bad, and no matter how far the left goes, but the right. So it's always right there, like a verbal tick to justify whatever is going on the left. And I feel like the reason I filed this piece is that we are seeing the full fruits of this bearing out right now, which is that you can just keep going further and further left. You can have Tesla fire bombings, you can have kids tearing down posters, and you have mostly peaceful protests, and you have a media that's kind of always carrying water and excusing it, and then always going, but Trump, but January 6th, and you're like, come on, like
exactly.
So
and
I think
here we are. So I think MAGA is really, we are definitely unified, stronger than ever. So happy to see all the videos of people realizing that about the left. But then the worry is, what do we do with the number that's much larger than I thought of people who really have a hatred in their heart like that? And I know it's educated, it's infiltrated for 20 years. My children who are 30, I didn't realize they were going through so much crap. 2 boys in high school and college until more recently. So I'm angry, but I also have God in my heart, and I just know the best is going to happen. But there is going to be a force coming with MAGA. It's not going to be violence, but it is going to be so we are going past media. We don't care about the media anymore.
Yeah.
We are not even paying attention to them. That used to be our thing, that we would be like, oh, can you believe Mika said this, or so and so did. We don't give a shit. So I'm sad, but we are also, there's some angry. We are going to move forward and make this movement work, and we are going to not let this happen to our kids anymore. That is really what it is, and we're going to do it in Charlie's name. I'm sorry I'm so emotional about it. I really thought that I was like much calmer, but I don't know. That's where I'm at. 'Cause I'm not.
Thank you.
I
This is why I love the show, though. I want to meet people right where they're at. It's always been the point of this show.
Yeah, I think what the feeling you're voicing, Monica, is the desire to be bolder moving forward.
Yes.
Because that's how I feel a little bit, because I get cowed, even though this is my job and I do it publicly, but I have spaces online where I have more left-leaning friends, and I'm like very polite about how I do everything, and again, preventing them from saying something awful to me, and by just like checking out of the conversation. And I don't have to do that with my faith or my politics. And
Yeah.
Charlie didn't. And a great example, by the way, of MAGA not being what the media and the left says it is this past week. So the past week, the media has been obsessed with the foreboding backlash and the terrible response,
It's
because
just vigils.
like our response is always the issue, not the actual thing.
Yeah.
And I just want to point out, because I watch these things obsessively because it ticks me off so bad. Since Charlie was brutally murdered in cold blood, there have been several arrests for violent or disruptive charges. One, the lefty who pretended to be the shooter and was arrested and charged. 2, an assault on the Texas Tech campus on people mourning Charlie.
Yeah.
3, vandalism in Arizona on people mourning Charlie. And then there was a 4th one. Oh, the 4th one is the would-be bombers of the Fox News truck. Which is getting no coverage, even though it's an attack on media and the press. That's zero. The left is batting 1,000 on the incidents since the murder.
Wow.
But we're the problem.
It's just, but anyway, but I just want to thank you. I don't want to take any more time up. Oh, and Mary Catherine Ham, I did I did put in an application to volunteer for the White House decorating team. So if you know anybody in the White House, Monica Hendricks, I've got my application in along with.
All right, let me see what I can do. I actually do know someone who does that, but I don't know how much pull I have. I'll see what I can do.
Okay.
Thank you, Monica.
Thank you guys both so much.
Thank you, Monica. I love this show so much. I love it. Is that it?
That's it.
Okay. Well, that was wonderful. I love you. Thank you for being here. Do you have where can we find you?
I'm at MK Hammer on X, at MK Hammer Time on Instagram. You can listen to me on the podcast normally and occasionally when I get off my butt and do Getting Hammered. We're trying to go back to more regularly, but for now, it's a treat every now and then.
You have as many podcasts as I have.
Yep. We got to have a ton.
We need one together. Our final.
It'll all converge.
Thank you so much. I love you, and I am just obsessed with you.
Thank you.
Such a rock star. All right, let's wrap it up for the peoples. You guys, this is always wonderful. Thank you so much for tuning in and commenting and raising your hand. Thank you to our guest, Mary Catherine Ham. Thank you to those of you who showed up, asked questions, made comments, shared your heart, your mind, your everything. Thank you to 2A and their amazing team. Thank you, Maggie.
Thank you, Bridget.
And thank you, Quest, for sponsoring this show. We can't do it without our sponsor. Visit questhealth.com. and use the discount code RealMay25 and get 20% off your purchase. That's questhealth.com. Code RealMay25 for 20% off. Join us next Wednesday, September 24th at 7 p.m. Eastern. If you're with us on the Zoom right now, it's the same link every time. We will see you there. Thank you for getting real with me, guys. I'm Bridget Phetasy. Don't forget to tip your server.